I bet you there's a few people, I'm sure with everything else, that are like, oh yeah, we're glad that she's going to be ending or blah, 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 which I don't get that. I don't understand any of that. Like, how could you have hate or discredit someone's career advancement if it doesn't even hinder yours, right? If it doesn't do anything to do with your well-being or life or career on your own little term, why throw shade at someone who's advancing theirs? So she's doing her thing. I don't know her personally, obviously, but if this reaches out to you, congratulations to you, Angele Yee. Congratulate, not hate. Shouts out to you for doing your thing. And as Envy would say, drop on a clues bomb for Angele Yee. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hypocritical AF podcast. I'm your host, Albert Fig, the number one most underrated podcast in all of the country. I'm not saying it just to say it. That's a fact. There was a census that went around sometime in 2020, and everybody ultimately decided that this podcast was the most underrated. Again, I didn't make the rules, y'all. I didn't make the census. Everybody else did. Okay? That's a fact. Number one most underrated podcast in the world. But anyway, we back with another week solo episode. This one is going to be, what is it? Episode 80? Episode 80 in the books. We're almost close to 100, on the road to 100, 10 episodes away from 100, which is crazy to even say. You know what I'm saying? 90 deep in less than 2 years, we're going to be at 100. In less than 2 years. Think about that for a second. Less than 2 years, 100 episodes, all organically funded, independently ran, and independently created from the ground up. And we're almost to 100, and I can't say that enough, and I can't stress how difficult this shit has been, how stressful it's been, and how much time and energy this shit takes. I'm not saying I'm Russ. I'm not saying I'm Lil Russell. I'm not saying I'm any other independent artist that's been, successful and has climbed all these great imaginable heights, but I will put myself in the same bracket as in hustle. Whatever they got, I got that too. And that's a fact. Episode 90. What up, y'all? We back. As if you don't know, I am a hypocrite, hence the name Hypocritical AF. So if you say I am a hypocrite, I'm going to be like, no shit. It's literally in the title, Hypocritical AF. And that's my initials for y'all that don't know. Hypocritical AF stands for Albert Figueroa. So it is not a diss. I don't take any offense if you call me a hypocrite. I'm going to say, no shit. It's literally in the podcast name. And with that being said, I wanted to sit down and do the solo ones because I've had a guest on the last two, and every so and so I like to squeeze in these solo ones when I can, because it's just basically me just freestyling in here and recovering from something or talking about something or recapping something. And when I say recovery, I don't mean no, not alcohol, not drugs. I mean recovery from like whatever freaking project I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what these solo ones are. So I first want to start off by recapping the previous two episodes, okay? Because I feel like even though I highlight every week, I make clips and highlights and stuff like that, I still want to give it its due diligence, and I still want to talk about the person that I had on, or just the episode itself, right? So we'll start with episode 88, and if y'all haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend y'all go back and check that out, especially if you're not doing shit, and especially if you one of those people that put up a poll. Well, how like some people talk about, like they'll put a thing like, man, music recommendations. I listen to all the music. What do y'all recommend? Well, I recommend you listen to the podcast, right? Or some people put like any podcast recommendations. That must mean that you already, listen to all that you can, or you're searching for something new. And if you are searching for something new, well, welcome to the podcast, bruh. Hypocritical AF. And if you don't know, you should tell us someone. Tell your friend. Tell your moms. Tell your sisters, tell your coworkers, tell that one annoying coworker that like you don't want to work with when you do, but they're always talking it up in your ear. And they're like, what about this? What about that? How do you think about this? And what about this? Tell them to go check out the podcast, because if they're annoying, they're like me. So, because I'm annoying, especially when it comes to this podcast stuff. But so episode 88, my homie Marcos Aguilar, Mark Ghost, podcast alum who's been on before. It was cool to like get to sit down and like chop it up with him, because he's someone that, like, first of all, mad respect for, right? Not just because he's a fellow dad, not just because he's a fellow hip hop head, not just because he's a fellow fan of music and music production and all the like nerdy stuff. And I would say he's definitely more intelligent and inclined to the music and production stuff than I am. But just as a person, he's a solid individual, and we have a lot in common. And it was cool every time we get to sit down and talk, because like we don't ever get that time too much, you know what I'm saying? Like outside of doing other things. So we squeeze in time when we can. And he's someone who, like, if I have a question about music or this upcoming set list, track list, or album, or like mixtapes or some stuff that, you know, hasn't necessarily been announced, or like underground shit, you know what I'm saying? He's someone like who I will talk to about that stuff, or get happy about, you know, like being able to talk to him about, especially like freestyles. Freestyles is our thing we like to listen to, you know what I'm saying? So anytime I get to, you know, talk to him about that, I'm like, yeah, for sure. But, you know, it was cool because we got to talk about like how he's been kind of MIA, you know, so to speak. Not MIA like how y'all think. Like he's not like he's over here missing on all kinds of stuff. When I say MIA, I mean that like he intentionally took like a little hiatus, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of us need that sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. And he took that little hiatus off, and he kind of was like getting back grounded, you know what I'm saying? Back to himself. I don't want to, you know, misconstrue it or put words in his mouth, but he was saying like how he just needed a little break from the social media stuff. And, you know, as a parent, sometimes that's what you need, you know what I'm saying? So we recapped that a little bit, but it was cool to have him back on because it was like his first little, like a step out, you know what I'm saying? Like coming back into society, you know, and it might sound like I'm over exaggerating a lot, and that's for your interpretation. And that's for an episode that you guys should go listen to. But it was good. It was good to talk about straight up dad stuff for like the first 30 minutes before we started getting into, you know, what he's been up to and music and stuff like that. It was also the first time I ever did like a makeshift mobile episode on the fly in a spare bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Because there was where we record in the studio in that which we record. Sometimes we have AC issues and it's not the most reliable type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we got to do like mobiles and record some mobile episodes. And in which case, in a mobile episode for y'all, you know, that don't know, sometimes I'll take off to like a city, different state, different county. I'll be in someone's living room. I'll be in a freaking garage. I'll be in a living room, sometimes a studio, sometimes a children's hospital, you know, whatever it is. I do mobiles, right? So in this case, like I said, our studio that we have where we record, AC issues, you know what I'm saying? And if you know Sacramento summer times, especially right now, them triple digits heats be, you know what I'm saying? When you get into the triple digits, that heat sometimes is like, nah. Like let's record at this time, even in the later in the evening. It's like nah, fam, because we don't get any of the Delta breeze or like the, you know, we're not in the Bay Area, so we don't get that breeze at night. The heat over here stays in till like 9 p.m. and it's still like, nah, bro, we're not going anywhere. So that's the Sacramento heat, and so little AC issues, and we had to do some makeshift stuff in the room. So that's why it was like a different kind of a scenery, but like on the fly makeshift that I did like an hour and a half beforehand, just essentially moving the simple lights, the mics, and kind of the setup, you know, to somewhat emulate what the regular studio was looking like. And I moved it over there. You know what I'm saying? So that was cool. And just knowing that I have that option to do that in the future, you know what I'm saying? Because like I say all the time, bro, as long as you stay consistent with it and stay true to it, ultimately you won't fail. Just stay with it. Keep up with it. Stay consistent. You won't fail. You know what I'm saying? No matter what, no matter how many, like, what do they say? How many odds are against you? No matter how many chips are stacked against you, you can still prevail, and you can still, you know what I'm saying, be cool if you able to makeshift stuff on the fly. So we did that. You know what I'm saying? I'm really glad we did, because it was good to chop it up with him and everything, right? And then moving on to like the last week's episode 89 with Jeffrey. We did that at his, speaking about mobiles, that was one episode we did mobily at his barbershop downtown, the Basics in downtown Sacramento, 408 12th Street for y'all that don't know. Check it out. But it was cool. It was cool for a bunch of different reasons and so many different levels. And I kind of like briefly touched on it on Instagram, just on a story. I was just sitting there thinking about it because it was the following Monday. this last Monday that passed. And I was just like sitting there thinking about, as I was like watching everything again, like the little clips and replaying stuff in my mind. It was a cool little moment to like reminisce and think about. And I'm glad that we were able to capture it on video, because it was, for y'all that don't know, let me give some context. If you haven't checked out the episode again, I highly recommend you guys do. And episode 89, the basics with Jeffrey. So we go back all the way, to, or I would say from high school, since high school. You know what I'm saying? We're from the same little small area. He was primarily growing up in King City. Myself, growing up in San Lucas. They're 10 miles apart. San Lucas doesn't have a high school. So we had to take the bus when we could. And we had to travel the 10 miles north to the high school to go to school. So, and then in King City is a little small area that's like intertwined with not just King City, but there's Pine Canyon, there's Lockwood, there's San Lucas, and then there's San Ardo. All those small little cities around it go to the same high school. So it's like a plot of like mixed people and just a bunch of people, you know what I'm saying? And I still keep contact with a lot of people, since high school. A lot of them I don't, and a lot of them I do, so it's like, and then a few of them end up here in Sacramento, oddly, but in a cool way, oddly, but yeah, in a cool way. I'm one of them technically. And so it was cool for us to have that moment because we were cool in high school. You know what I'm saying? I've known him since then. And we've both changed, drastically, because I feel like we've always said this before too. And he's a podcast alum. He's been on like 3 separate times already, And so it's basically like we were all just like a product of our environment, So back in the day and back in high school where we came from, it was either like, how could I say it? It was very influency, not the term that people use for today, not influencing as far as social media goes and everything, because this was before social media, but influencing in the people you had around you and the circles that you would be in would influence a lot on you, and vice versa. Like either it would be influenced by them or they would be influenced by you, So we hung around the same crowds, the same group of people. And so we, fast forward to now, we did an episode in the barbershop that he just opened up, where he's also displaying his brand / merch, where he's also being able to shoot and create content while he's also shooting music videos, doing photo shoots, all right there, essentially like a small hub for himself, right? And then here am I taking my podcast equipment, my video equipment, my audio equipment, not my whole setup, but being able to get my setup and then take it to his shop and see both of us, 2 entities, collectively come together and create and shoot content. And then also even a layer more in that, to have both of our kids, or sorry, not both. I don't have 2 kids, but to have our kids and our sons right there watching, and having our families also right there. And then to be able to document that and record that and show it to, our kids when they get older, and be like, yo, check this out. At one point, we were kind of cool. Okay. We weren't so much boomers as you might think right now, but at one point in time, we might have been kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool to like document that and be able to show that. And who knows? It might not. Think about like this itself, even if this shit ends, even if it doesn't continue, once it's on the internet, it's on the internet for like forever. Assuming the internet will be here forever. But if it's on YouTube, it's there. You feel me? Like I also watch videos from 11, 12 years ago on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So just imagine 20 years from now, you can still potentially watch videos on YouTube that we're doing right now. And, going back to the beginning of the episode, what I said about 2 years, it's almost 2 years of doing this. And they're still all right there. Like you can go back and backlog and check so much different shit. It's like going back on a person's Instagram page. And you're going and you're scrolling. And the next thing you know, you're like 152 weeks in and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? What are you doing? 152 weeks? That's a lot of scrolling, bro. Also, whose page has that? If you're a celebrity that has like 9,000 posts, it's about time to nip some of those. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not, if you're just an everyday citizen, nothing wrong with that. But if you have 10,000 posts, hey, bro, let's cut that number down some. Okay. We don't need to be 367 weeks down just to see you post a picture of your cupcake, right? We don't need to see the pizza that looked good right before you devoured it. What are we doing? Okay. I'm starving right now. Matter of fact, I want pizza right now. Deep dish. There's not that many deep dish options, so I'll take a pizza. You know what I found too? Did you know that did y'all know that in Chicago and I want to say like Rhode Island, I want to say, but I found out that they don't really call pizzas, well, they don't call deep dishes like that. They call them pies. Confusing as fuck. Very confusing. Because when I think of pie, I think of pie, you know? But they call it a pie over there. No disrespect. I'm sure they're better. I've never been to Boston. I've never been to Rhode Island. I've never been to New York, or New Jersey. I hear their pizza's better. They say something in the water. But then again, to counter that argument, you could say the same thing about the Bay Area. It's just something in the water. And if you know that lyric, you know. And that's why we're friends, if you know. But anyway, yeah, so we're finishing in that with the episode talking about all that. It was just a cool moment, man. It was really cool, and we got that one down, and it was like a small little sneak peek into potential stuff in the future that I think would be really cool to like collaborate and work with, and also branch out with too. So I think it's like, ultimately it's a win-win for not just ourselves, but for everybody, especially the people watching us. They could be like, yo, look at us. For y'all that are in the same boat or still in the same area or come from a small ass area with like little to no promise, or feel like, what can I do? Blah, blah. I'm not saying we're the biggest role models, and I'm not saying you should try to emulate this, but there's takeaways you can do. There's some stuff you could take away from that to be like, well, shit, that's cool. Look at them. You know what I'm saying? Coming from those same areas as you are, and look at us trying to flourish, just out here trying to be dads. You know what I'm saying? Dads. Okay, so one thing I did want to hit as well is the other night, we're sitting on the couch, right? I'm talking to Lily, and then she shows me like essentially like a screenshot of a tweet, right, from Angele Yee. For those of you that don't know Angele Yee, she is 1/3 counterpart of the Breakfast Club, and she also has a podcast called Angele Yee's Lip Service. She's also owner of a juice bar in Brooklyn, I want to say, or Jersey, or some shit like that. I don't have her full freaking, Wikipedia, but she's solid. You know what I'm saying? Solid. Mad respect for her entrepreneurship, for her career, and just big ups to Angela Yee. You know what I'm saying? So she had put out this tweet that said, "The Breakfast Club as you know it is officially over," with like a motherfucking, it looked like she was throwing up gang signs, but it's a new heart emoji. I've never used it. I've seen it being used a few times. I legit thought that there was some type of gang stuff, or, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but it was a heart thingy. So I saw that and I was like, nah, like I didn't realize, and obviously they know what they're doing, because this was like a planned, I just listened to the recent episode of the Breakfast Club. So it was like a planned, scheduled tweet thingy. Like, they know what they were doing, bro. And it was to throw everybody in a frenzy. And it worked. Boy, did it work. Not for me, because I saw and I was like, oh, no, that's not true. Because I guess if you've been a fan of the Breakfast Club, which I've been a fan of for the past decade, and if you listen to them religiously, they've always talked about contracts being ended at some point. They've talked about, at their 10-year mark, because I want to say they're at 12 years right now running, and then 13 in December or something like that. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it's that, right? So that many years in, of course, all things come to an end. So they talked about that being like a thing eventually. And I know if you follow those people individually, so DJ Envy, Charlamagne the God, Angele Yee, if you follow them individually in their own spaces, they've hinted at, potentially things ending or expanding out and branching out to other things, which I feel like there's nothing wrong with doing that. And if you're a fan of Charlamagne the God, like I am, you know that it's been documented. He's said this multiple times about he doesn't see himself doing radio or Breakfast Club past the age of 45. You know what I'm saying? What is he, like 42, 43 right now? And he already has his other show on Comedy Central. You know what I'm saying? So everybody thought that shit was being ended. I mean, as far as what I saw on social media, but I didn't take it like that. And I feel like it was, first of all, it wasn't just going to end just like boom at night time and then gone in the morning. So it wasn't going to be an abrupt ending from the very beginning. So we all knew that. But I knew it was like, oh, maybe individually her contract was up. And I remember too, I forget which podcast it was, but she was on a podcast one time. It might have been even hers. No, it wasn't hers. It wasn't hers. But she was on a podcast one time talking about her first, what she was making, her very first contract to come in on the podcast. Again, don't quote me on that shit. I don't have a fact checker nor a producer. Go figure. But I want to say she said she was only going to, like, her first couple of years or her first deal that she signed was only going to be for like 40 or 60,000 annually or something like that. So she's been talked about that. And then, you know, as the years went on, contract renegotiations and everything. I'm not trying to count anybody's pockets, but there's, you know, there's things and then there's goals and aspirations that she's been vocal about having her own show. And, you know, ultimately she spoke that shit into fruition, you know, cause she's been saying that, cause I've listened to, I'm not gonna say I'm a like avid weekly listener to her podcast, but I listen to them for sure. And she said it on there before. She talked about that, like how one day she would like to have her own show, and boom, she's going to be getting it. Nationally syndicated radio show daily. You know what I'm saying? At that. That's a huge feat, bro. Like, super congratulations to her. And I put this on Instagram too today. I put congratulate, not hate, because I already know off the top, like, a bunch of people are going to be mad salty about it. You know, at first thinking like the shit's ending, but then also being like, oh, good. I bet you there's a few people, I'm sure, with everything else that are like, oh, yeah, we're glad that she's going to be ending or blah, 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 you know, which I don't get that. I don't understand any of that. Like, how could you have hate or discredit someone's career advancement if it doesn't even hinder yours, right? If it doesn't do anything to do with your well-being or life or career on your own little term, why throw shade at someone who's advancing theirs, you know? So she's doing her thing. I don't know her personally, obviously, but if this reaches out to you, congratulations to you, Angele Yee. Congratulate, not hate. Shouts out to you for doing your thing. And as Envy would say, drop on a clues bomb for Angele Yee. I wish I had that little sound effect, bro. Is that shit, like, is it copyrighted? Like, will I get in trouble or fined for dropping that clues bomb? Which technically used to be a flex bomb, right? I don't know. I don't know these things. I'm not from the East Coast. I'm not from New York. You know what I'm saying? West Coast, Cali. Side note on this too. I can't do the West Side fingers thing. Like, I have to go like this. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're not, go check it out. I have to put my fingers like this. You see this? I'm born and raised in California, bro. I can't do the sign without doing this with my fingers. I have to go like this if I want to throw the West. Look at assisted, non-assisted. I can't do it. West Side's up, Cali. Okay? I'm not East Coast at all. Never even been. New York, that is. Been to down south, East Coast, like Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. Been those, done that. But yeah, so shouts out to her for all that. And you know what's a cool little story for not even story necessarily, but definitely not ashamed or not embarrassed to admit that I have always, and I'm sure the same could be said about others. I would always envision one day going on Breakfast Club. That's a fact. I would, bro. I would just think like, man, how cool it would be one day to just be in there chopping it up with them. You know what I'm saying? I would think about that. And what's crazy is like, it's not ending, you know, so it's still a possibility. Hey, don't judge me, bro. You don't know this. You don't know. Fingers and toes crossed. Okay. You don't know this. But yeah, it was always a thing that I, you know, definitely would like to be on one day. Like I said, you never know. You never know. The closest I've ever made it was calling in. I got on there twice, bro. Twice I had to call in. You know, if you know, like I said, if you're in California or in the West Coast time, this shit ain't easy. That means you have to be up at 3 a.m. And then the odds of you getting on from that time frame, like starting at 3 a.m., you know what I'm saying? We're not even really starting at 3 a.m., but doing that shit at 3 a.m. and You know what I'm saying? The odds are not in your favor. They're stacked against you. And then you have to, even if they consider you, you have to get in. Maybe you get on the person and it's like a producer and they'll be like, okay, what do you want to talk about? And then even then you still have to hope that they choose your line out of like some random shit. But I made it on there twice. And I want to go for a third time soon because we don't know how long, that trio of them is going to last. Maybe a few more months, I'm sure, until they get a replacement. But hey, shouts out to them with that. But yeah, this my schedule lately has been hectic, literally. I'm not even saying my schedule. I'm saying collectively, just all the moving pieces and elements around me. It's like I was gonna record last night, no joke, like at 11:30 at night, and I was just straight up tired, dog. Like there's been times where I've came in here like mad tired, and y'all don't even know. And there's times where I've recorded at midnight and everything, but I was just tired last night. And then I was gonna get up super early to do this before I headed out on my day because I was in San Francisco and Oakland and doing a bunch of shit out there. But I was just mad tired. But I'm getting it done, like always, as you all should. And these next couple weeks, pray to baby Jesus or whoever that these temperatures go down because it's still damn near high double digits, high 90s, or sometimes low triples. And it's damn near mid-August. What are we doing? I hope it doesn't go back to that 1 year, that 1 year that it was like triple digits all the way to November, because I'm literally going to be like, why? Okay. Why? Anyway, a couple Zoom ones coming in this month, I want to say. A couple Zoom ones. Another mobile one. And then next month is September. I'm going to be in LA. Well, Disneyland specifically. But while I'm there, I'm going to try to schedule some stuff up. And that's not a guarantee nor a promise. I'm just saying what I'm trying to do. And then I'm still planning something for episode Hundo, which I want to make that one like a fun, cool one. I want to make it like a big thing. So if y'all have any ideas of what I should do for episode 100 or what we should do for episode 100, definitely reach out. Let me know. Oh, and podcasts. I'm trying to get on, I'm trying to be a guest on a few more podcasts. I've reached out to a few. I'm trying to expand this shit. So if y'all know any, hit me up. Or if you are a podcast and you want to collab and network on some shit, hit me up. Or if y'all could like shoot my information to some, hit them up, let them know. Like I said, I'm doing this not the last stretch, but going into 100, the last 10s, I'm trying to like make it like a big thing for the big 100. Okay. So there I go again. Fucking fake Cali dude, bro. Look at West Side's up. You know what I'm saying? This one's keep it short because I got to get going already. I got stuff to tend to. It's just really just daddy mode I got to do. So I got to prioritize that, but I'm able to squeeze this in. So again, I'm your host, Albert Fig, Hypocritical AF Podcast. Check that shit out on YouTube. If you don't mind, if you could be a pal and subscribe to that, share it, and check out the last few episodes if you haven't, okay? Y'all stay safe. Peace.